What is up, everybody? Welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Happy Chucky night. And we've got a new group of knuckleheads tonight. So we got the usual with me and CP, and we are also joined by Cecil and Fuego from the horror show. And I'm echoing somewhere. Uh-oh. Anyway.
Is that you, Fuego?
I don't know. I heard it for a second. I heard my voice. Okay. What is going on, guys? CP, how you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm tired. I'm ready for October to be over.
Oh,
I was so
wait.
happy.
That's my answer, too.
Oh, yeah. I was so happy for a stacked October, especially my first full-time month, and now I'm just like, make it stop. Make it stop. Bring November. Fuego.
What is up, dude? Oh, I'm doing damn good, man. And you obviously picked a very well-opportune yet, big-time workload month to start full-time in it, man. So I'm happy to see all the content coming, the Crow stuff and whatnot. So,
oh, yeah. That's been a interesting franchise to go through. I'll say that. Cecil.
Hello. Doing well. I am just as burned out on you, though, as someone that has to edit all this shit all month long, all these fucking new reviews, and then, hey, let's put a weekly Chucky series thing in there too, because we know you like that. And then, it's been a beast. I am ready for, and then not only that, but we are doing our first Horror Show Presents live event this Saturday ahead of Halloween. So that's been a pain in the ass too, to try and make sure all the ducks are in a row for us. So yeah, I'm ready for next week as well.
Yes, exactly. Once 31 on 31 hits, I'm going to be like, oh, and then just sleep.
Yeah. Brian just finished watching his last movie. I'm like, dude, I'm fucking 30 hours deep into the edit, you asshole.
Yeah, Brian pulled a CP this year where he left everything to the end and then binged it and hated everything. So he's just going to be angry for a 20-minute video. John N sends in, says, what's going on, mofo's been watching the horror show since the Southbound review.
So nice. That was me and Luis, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was a while ago. That was in front of the Film Bar like theater, whichever one that was, I think, back in the old days.
Yep, Valley Arts. Yeah.
All right,
guys. I don't want to scare you, but your good guy box is empty.
Ooh.
He's behaving himself. I'm keeping an eye on him. He didn't get very far from the box. I think the set designer didn't quite think far enough ahead for that.
Well, the reason we're here tonight, guys, is to talk about episode 3 of Chucky, which debuted last night. The title of it was I Like to Be Hugged. And I'm going to go around the horn a little bit, but first, before we get going, since you guys that have been watching us pretty much know where me and CP have stood as far as this series thus far, I want to see how Cecil and Fuego are feeling so far. So, Fuego, give me a quick little summary of how you felt about the show pre-episode 3.
So, it's funny. Pre-episode 3, I was all right with it. It wasn't bad. I was actually one of the few kind of cult apologists, I guess. I didn't hate it as much as so many did. Curse, I know, and we talked about this previously. I thought Curse was all right, kind of the return to form of sorts, but Cult was more of that slight bit of goofiness that I appreciated from Bride, and a little lesser in Seed, to be fair. But I was excited with where it was going, but it was still a little too kid-centric for me, very CW-ish sort of, the same route that they're taking with the new I Know What You Did Last Summer, and like even what they did with Scream on MTV. I was less about it, and also the fact that it's middle school kids. I was little averse to some of the storytelling with regards to kids of that age. But aside from that, I thought that Brad was doing good work, and they were, at least after the second episode, sowing some intriguing seeds for this whole manipulation with Jake. And I was intrigued with that storytelling possibility, and they definitely go somewhere with that in this episode.
You didn't like Scream?
Scream? I watched some of the first season of the Scream TV series, but I just gave up on it. I know Cecil watched all of it.
I didn't like Scream.
So I never even watched it.
Even from the first season? First season I thought was pretty good.
I thought the second season was better than the first season, honestly.
Shit.
But I wasn't the biggest fan of either. And then season 3,
I heard it takes an absolute dive.
Big dive. Mm-hmm. Even though they brought the old voice back for it.
And the mask too, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whoops.
Gotcha. So in reference to one of your issues, Fuego, what is the appropriate age where we start to enjoy murder then? Is it 17, 18?
No. And you can skewer me over the coals. I mean, because these kids are supposed to be like 12, 13, I guess, because
13,
middle school.
14,
yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. I'm like thinking of the South Park where they're like, how old is it, Chef, when you're supposed to be able to have sex? And he's like 17 or whatever. It's not that. Maybe I'm just being a little judgmental as I get older, and just more of that get off my lawn sort of dude. So yeah.
I hear you. All right, Cecil, same question. How are we feeling about Chucky? I know you kind of had the same expectations as me, but how have you felt the first 2 episodes?
The first episode, I was like, honestly, as it's progressed, I realized sort of in the second episode that I was enjoying it purely from the fan point. It goes to that, the standpoint of a fan where, hey, I'm getting new Brad Dourif Chucky material on a weekly basis right now. We're going to have 10 episodes and they're 45 minutes a piece. No, it's 10. I thought it was 8, but we looked it up and it kept saying 10.
I did the same thing. I thought it was 8, and then you said 10, and then I was figuring it out. Alex Vincent himself told me 8.
Okay, well, good. Okay, good.
It's totally conflicting information out there. That's what I told him.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah,
I was like, nothing gives me the right answer.
In it for 8.
Well, and also because it's listing 10 on the IMDb, so that's where it's very strange. But
but so
Alex Vincent dies in the 8th episode, verified.
he's like, I'm in 8 episodes.
But even with 8 episodes at 45 minutes a piece, that's still 4 feature-length Chucky movies that we're getting over the course of this amount of time, and that's badass to me. So even if they like misstep certain things this season, I feel like it's getting enough heat that they can course correct just like every other damn TV show in the past has, and like, okay, what can we tweak to get better in the second season? So not only am I like enjoying it from that perspective, I'm excited to see what can develop after this. But there are some issues that I do have. I do feel like I am not, the intended target audience for a lot of aspects of the show. But I'm still, Chucky's anchoring it all. There's an issue that is arising for me with Chucky in episode 3. And I'm curious to know if Fuego didn't necessarily see the specific problem that I see. And I don't know if you will or not, Cody and CP. I'm curious, but overall, I'm happy with it.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys watched our spoilers or anything before this show, but I really liked the first episode. I had an issue with the alcohol vomit kill. I thought that was a little bit too slapstick for me, and I wasn't sure, which I've had a lot of people try to correct me on. So maybe I'm just on an island here. I thought they were overdoing the middle school drama a little bit. I was like, are people really this fucking mean in middle school? And I don't know. My experience, I was like, that kid would have been thrown the fuck out of class. But nonetheless, I've had a lot of people say that that's exactly how it is nowadays, some places. But episode 2, I loved. I had like no issues with episode 2. And I really liked what they're doing as far as bonding Chucky and Jake together with a genuine friendship, which is very different than the dynamic we had with Andy, to where Chucky's grooming him and kind of making him part of the cult, if you will, of Chucky. And then CP, I won't speak for you if you want to give a quick wrap up.
I'm sorry. I got backtracked. It's been a while since I could talk about stats. I wanted to see just how well it was doing. And I only have stats on the premiere. The premiere was seen by 4.4 million people, which is the second highest viewed cable show all year. So,
and that's across both networks, though, right? Because it's on USA and Sci-Fi, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Only Resident Alien has done better this season.
That was a fun show.
So that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm sorry. Now, what were you saying to me?
Just a quick couple sentences just to get Cecil and Fuego caught up on how you felt about episode 1 and 2.
Oh no, Brian had cut me off. What am I going to do with all this time? I felt like there was a lot in one. I felt like it was a little cluttered. I was nervous. because they were giving us so much information in the first episode. Considering the fact that it's a 8 or 10 episode series, I felt like it's something that you could stretch. Give us this piece and then focus on that piece next week, and just kind of find a connecting line through all of it. But the second week, I enjoyed a lot and didn't think like I had no worries whatsoever and enjoyed the pacing and everything. This week, we'll get to this week, but
I feel some foreshadowing.
I yeah.
So we got a couple super chats really quick. Tyler, hey fellas, Cody, remember Evil dies tonight. Oh yeah, I haven't forgot. Anyway, do you guys think Andy's going to bite the dust in this series? I hope not, but I think it's coming. It depends on when he comes in. I got a feeling it's going to be at the end of episode 4, since that's all critics were screened, but we'll see. Matt Rayner, after watching this episode, I finally realized where I've seen the actor who plays Lexi's dad before. He plays Dr. Foley in Cult of Chucky.
Yes.
Mancini is known for using the same actors for different roles. He did it with multiple Malcolm in Cult as well. He was the cop in Curse. Okay, well, we'll go ahead. Oh, damn, one more. As soon as I got to say that. Cody, what do you think happens to someone's soul when Chucky transfers his soul into their body? They sink into the floor.
That's a good name.
So,
that's Bone.
Yeah, exactly. So getting into episode 3. So this whole episode was pretty much centered on Jake and then eventually Chucky trying to kill Lexi. Now, I don't know how you guys have felt. I thought that by the time they got to the costume reveal at the end of episode 2, I was 100% on team kill that bitch.
Yep.
I even though she's a middle schooler, which is shocking for me as a father, but I was just like, nope, irredeemable. She's wasteless in this world. Just get rid of her. So episode 3 is essentially Jake trying to, one, decide whether or not he wants to do it, then kind of figuring out how he wants to do it, making an attempt-ish in the woods, and then eventually just saying, okay, Chucky, you do it. I'm just going to give you to them. And the rest of it was Chucky trying to pick his moment and failing a couple of times, ending with this little inferno, if you will, at the house. Now, on one end, I do like, again, the thing with Chucky and Jake, kind of their relationship and how he's grooming him, and Jake's actually going there. Like, if that wasn't his cousin in the woods, he might have actually stabbed the shit out of her right there in episode 3. But everything else in this episode I had a bit of an issue with. And the main one was, I feel like they already had me sold that Lexi is garbage. Lexi's our villain. Lexi's the one that needs to die. And this episode, it actually took it a step too far to me, to where the character doesn't feel real anymore. Like, I can believe somebody being such a bitch in junior high that she would do such a disgusting costume like that. I mean, it's out there, it's vile, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, somebody would think that's funny. And there would definitely be some kids that would laugh along with that. Mm-hmm. This episode, just a couple of conversations that she has where she goes to apologize, but only so she can get something in return. And it's like every time she gives like even a moment to where she seems like she actually feels human, where it's like, all right, yeah, maybe that was a little bit too much, even though you're crazy AF and all this other stuff. And it's just like they hammered it home so much that to me it feels overdone now. So sticking just on that point as far as how they're continuing to push Lexi in that direction. Cecil, how do you feel? Or do you feel like they're going too far? Do you feel like they are pretty much staying consistent with what they've already given us, or was it not even really an issue for you?
I think they're overdoing it a little bit as well. I think she went so far last episode that it's not that she wouldn't do this stuff as well. It's that, I don't know, it just feels...
We're already sold.
Yeah, exactly. And there might very well be, in fact, I'm sure that I knew girls just that petty when I was growing up that would still be that shitty to someone. But at this point, it does feel like Hollywood over screenwriting. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like they're overwriting it to the point where they're like, really, she's not. But then based on, apparently something that is in the coming soon, they're going to try and make changes even with that. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense either when you've pushed it so far this way. So I think they're over-ringing that bell a little bit.
Yeah. And really quickly before I move on to Fuego, not to spoil anything for anybody, if you don't watch the next week on Chucky, just mute me for a second. I'll wave my hands. But so they give you just a little tease that she is still alive, and her and Jake and everybody else are going to be kind of not necessarily teaming up, but they're going to be on the same page that Chucky needs to be stopped. And so obviously she's going to now be somewhat friendly with the person that she's been treating like less than garbage, and for the attempt to try to make the audience be back into her court again. And I'm with you that, like, you know, even though as vile as that costume was, they could stop it there and have her boyfriend, his cousin, and everybody else, and the parents. They even show where the parents are like mortified when they see the cell phone video. They could have everybody come to her after that and be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, are you base level human? What's going on?" And you could sell me on her coming back around or realizing the error of her ways. But when they spend another entire episode hammering home what a piece of shit she is and just how removed from reality she is, it's going to be so much more of a job now to try to get me on board with not killing her and trying to make her, you know, survive. Fuego, how did you feel about Lexi? Are they overdoing it? Is it just enough? Or was it even a point for you to where you were on the camp of, if they kill her, I'm okay with it?
Well, I can't stand the character, and yet she's doing it very convincingly. I mean,
sure.
Yeah, she is selling bitch face 100%. And yeah, you know, the scene with the half-assed apology, at least for me, it didn't gain her any brownie points whatsoever, man. I mean, it seemed within the context of the character for her to just be like, oh, I'm going to kind of, you know, say I'm sorry. But like, she didn't redeem herself in any way, shape, or form to me. But maybe she'll die, but it's definitely not going to happen anytime soon, in my estimation. And I probably would not be shocked if they just keep her around and do more of that redemption tour, whether it's like the Negan thing or whatever. I mean, people love that sort of turning into anti-heroishness almost, like all the kids are going to have to band up against Chucky eventually, is what I'm kind of speculating. But yeah, I guess we'll see. Yeah, or the cult, yeah, and that's where I'm just very curious how they're going to bring all of that into it. But as far as Lexi's character, no, I'd still be very appreciative of seeing her demise, but nah, I'm not betting on it. I think you're right about the fact that they're going to kind of gang these kids up against a bigger threat, you know, Chucky and others. So
I hear you. I'm sorry for anybody that might have muted. You didn't hear anything that Fuego said, but I don't think anybody muted anyway. CP.
Nobody cares anyways.
CP, now you probably more than any of us thus far, the first couple episodes was full on like, okay, this chick needs to die by episode 8. That's my checkbox now.
Yep.
How do you, has that changed at all for you in episode 3?
Nope. But the way I'm thinking is, why are we rushing? What do we? Where's the fire? I mean, I don't know how much further you can get than what you did in episode 2 with the dad outfit, but the apologizing, but then not making him, but getting Chucky from Jake just for the sake of one nice thing for another. It's all very, very, very strange, and there's just so much space left where, you know, we're already there. I don't know many people that think, oh yeah, well actually, Cody, you just said it. She's kind of redeemable still, possibly, but why would you do that at this stage? And then remind me about it. But when we get to a kill, that's where like it starts getting a little muddled for me, because you know, we're trying to get this girl killed for revenge for Jake, and then they have the fire from Inglourious Bastards there at the end, and yeah, some other things. I'm curious to know what's going to happen with the sister now. Is the real sticking point? But as I was worried about in episode 1, they're moving a little quickly. Yet at the same time, there was times where I felt like it was a little Walking Dead-y at times, where it was kind of slow.
Episode.
Yeah. Well, I felt like everything from in this episode, and it's so odd. But yeah, I think she should die. I mean, she should be the big bad, unless for some insane reason she is the one that flips Jake to finally flip on Chucky, because they're really playing the parallels hard between Chucky's childhood and Jake's childhood. They're playing that like right down the road.
on that subject, and I'll stick with you, CP. How do you feel thus far about the flashbacks and the origins and all of that? Like, do you think it's necessary? Do you think they're doing it well, or do you not like it?
Well, I'm fine with it. I'm not in love with it. I don't hate it, but it feels like they're certainly grooming us for Chucky and Jake to relate to one another and have some sort of bond. That it builds the relationship. So that fuck, who would expect that from a goddamn Chucky TV show? So I'll take it.
Yeah, I think the jury is going to stay out until I see all 8 or 10 episodes, because clearly they're trying to build some kind of a narrative with these pieces of backstory that's eventually going to tail into what we're seeing in present time. So I'll withhold judgment until I see the whole thing. But that was the biggest thing that I was skeptical of when I walked into the show, knowing that they were going to be exploring the unknown origins of Charles Lee Ray. And I'm like, fuck, like every time you guys do this, you don't do a very good job.
Yeah.
And I'll say they haven't done anything thus far that's made me worried, or haven't done anything thus far where I've cringed or anything. I could do without it. I don't think it's adding anything necessarily, because they're so on the nose with the parallels where they're showing how this guy is stabbing his dad, and then showing how Chucky is very unconvincingly stabbing this kid. And to me, giving the answer that, well, Charles Lee Ray was just always fucked up. There's no reason. It wasn't because his mom didn't hug him enough or his dad beat him with a belt or anything like that. He was just fucked up. That's the answer you should have. I didn't want them to give any kind of a sympathetic reason for why Charles Lee Ray is Charles Lee Ray. But again, I just don't feel like the flashbacks are really adding much for me. Go ahead.
I did have an actually moment for a hot second when they were showing us how Charles Lee Ray became a killer. Internally, I said, so when did he get into voodoo? And then I just let that thought go away, because that was his big deal, voodoo, and that's how he got into the doll. And don't worry, but don't look over here.
His big deal was being a lakeshore strangler. The voodoo was a hobby.
Yeah.
Cecil,
how do you
still
feel?
Want to know about it. Well, that's all.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll get there.
Yeah. Season 8. Cecil, how do you feel about the flashbacks?
I feel like they're not necessarily detracting from the show, but they're being handled a bit clumsily. Like that last one, especially where they decided to throw that last one in right after the fire started, and then cut to flashback, and then cut right back to him still doing this in front of the fire. Like it's awkward. It's being handled awkwardly. But I will say, while it's not necessarily adding anything, I wasn't uninterested, and I did think one of the better lines of the show was, "I helped."
Yep.
I was like, "That's fucking nuts. You're a creep." Okay, cool, got it. Like,
was anybody shocked when he stabbed his mom?
I kind of was. I wasn't expecting that. I thought I didn't know what was going to happen there. So when they opened and that was the case, I was like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah.
Okay. So no, in that I enjoyed it, but the way that they're being done and paced out, it's odd. It's very odd.
Yeah, it was weird because the first 2 episodes, it was very much kind of the bookend, if I remember correctly, where you get a little bit at the beginning, a little bit at the end, and then this episode, the whole last half of the episode had random flashback scenes spliced in just to show a visual parallel, but it was jarring, like especially in that once shit's really hitting the fan. In the final act, and you still keep kind of pausing and going back. I agree. It was like, could have just done all that at the end. Fuego, how do you feel?
I don't mind them, and even the whole pinata smashing at the beginning before the opening credits and stuff. So they didn't bookend it per se, but they did just pick and choose their spots a little strangely. I just don't know how necessary they are. There is that interesting aspect to where, when you pull the curtain back and get a villain's backstory, sometimes they're not as scary and they are going for more of a sympathetic thing. And that's what I thought they were going to do initially, until the reveal that Cecil just mentioned, where he helped the crazy killer. And you're like, oh yeah, this kid was totally fucked up from the very beginning, and he just needed that grooming and that sort of, I don't know, like that push, so to speak. And I, from a psychological standpoint, though, do think that I know you guys were saying filler for this one. I thought from a psychological standpoint, this was one of the more fascinating ones, especially some of the voiceover stuff that we get from Durif as Chucky. I mean, some killers are made, but the best of us are born, which he says at the end. And then, you're looking for that magic moment, just the two of us, and every killer needs a cover and so on. I thought that stuff was honestly fascinating. And that's where, even though this one from a like Gortastic standpoint or anything didn't really do much of shit for me, but I found it from the writing of the dialogue and a lot of the voiceover that we got from Brad, I thought it made that correlation with the flashbacks make a little bit more sense to me. So,
well, so I get what you're saying, but at the same time, some of that falls on its head a little bit. Like when he meant to kill Lexi, and he fucked up and killed somebody else, and he had a bit of an "oops, excuse me" moment. And it's like, dude, you killed your mom. What does it matter that you just killed some random kid at a party? Why are you? I mean, granted, he did say, fuck it. And
it was just a one-liner moment, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, he's a killer, so he's just like, the hell with it. I'll just kill somebody else. He was just upset he didn't get to kill the intended target, but he's still bloodthirsty. So
I'm just intrigued what his value system is and what...
Donuts, nothing.
Yeah, so what's the deal with Jake then? So why is he getting so close to this kid?
I think it's just a new plaything for him. I mean,
it's a power mentality.
Chucky is a toy, and he uses kids as his toys. Like, that's the way I've always looked at it. They're all just toys to him until they've outlived their usefulness, and he moves on to the next one.
Yeah, in my opinion. There's that, and there's also I'm sure at some point we're going to give some kind of a narrative reason why he's in this town, why he was at that yard sale. There's going to be some kind of
right?
Yeah, they will. So as soon as we start getting the OG characters brought in, Tiffany and Nika and Alex Vincent and
apparently we had Tiffany already. Sorry, did you guys see that? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, okay, so you guys talked about that.
So as soon as we start getting them in and we get more of what the overall plot is with Chucky, why he's here, I'm sure there'll be more context to it. I don't know if it has to do with the death of Jake's mom or his aunt, that they keep hinting that there's some secret that she's keeping. Far as something
she's just one of the OG characters.
She's got to be. You've got to be convinced. So one thing that I wasn't sure if I was reading too much into, and I'm curious to get your guys' take. So I believe his name is Devin, the podcaster kid, the one that they're obviously building up to be somewhat of a romantic interest for Jake. Did anybody else feel off about the way that he was recording Jake? Like, I don't know if that's for a nefarious reason or if he's trying to, do something with his podcast to prove that Jake's innocent in the things that he's being suspected of or what. But I thought it was very odd that they have this nice little shoulder tap moment and, the sunshine's going and the music's playing. And then later on, his mom catches him and he's like, over here, like with little recordings of Jake's voice, like he's walking around with a recorder all day. I thought that was very odd. So I don't know, did anybody else pick up on that or think that might be a reveal?
And he was playing like the same 15-second clip over and over again. It was just like, dude, you all right, bro?
Yeah, I don't know if that was something weird or if this is going to be like the straw that breaks the camel's back when Jake eventually does just go over the fucking cliff and turns into a killer, where he realizes this kid that he likes or loves or whatever was fucking with him, or I don't know. I mean, he's still hanging out with Lexi. He thinks that Lexi's a piece of shit, but he's right there at her party fucking doing all that shit with her. So I don't know. I ain't got my grasp on this kid, Devin.
Maybe he's the puppeteer.
I think he's maybe, but I think he's just trying to be the peacekeeper. I think he's maintaining relationships with Lexi, and I agree with the idea that he's recording Jake to try and help clear him. Right. That was the impression that I got from it, because I think eventually he wants to try and say, hey, we should all be like, I'm guessing that he'll be the one to kind of bridge the gap between Lexi and Jake in order for them to form the anti-Chucky coalition or whatever the hell they're going to do. But that's the impression that I got. Although that moment struck me as weird. That shoulder moment struck me as weird because I don't know, man. That kid's acting is a little up and down. I guess because he was like in this weird tone, like this, or he was in a whole separate tone the whole conversation, and then the tone completely changes when he puts the arm on the shoulder, and I was like, "The fuck is that?" Like, I can't quite put my finger on him. There's something off, but I feel like they're trying to clumsily make us think he might be against Jake, but he's actually just trying to help clear Jake with that stuff.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm reading too much into it. It could easily go either way. One thing that's just going to be a quick little tangent that I did find very odd. MKF brings it up. If they're going to bleep it out, why have him say that makes sense to anyone else? They should. Okay, a little
You can't
incoherent in the
say
way that you wrote it,
cunt.
but nonetheless, yeah, he says fuck like 8 times in the episode. But I'm
Yeah.
assuming he says cunt, and they're like beep, and I was like, what the hell just happened? That was so weird.
Yeah, you can't say the C word, the female C word on cable for some stupid reason.
Although it makes me wonder if like it wasn't bleeped on Sci-Fi and yet it was bleeped on USA, because I watched it on USA, but I know that.
I watched it on Sci-Fi.
Oh, okay, and it was still bleeped.
Yeah. So
Okay.
very strange. You can show 14-year-olds getting murdered, but don't offend any women with the C word.
God forbid, right? Jesus Christ. I have to chime in really quick though, and like I was in Cecil's camp about this, and where I'm like, oh yeah, the love interest, it's purely that, and the awkwardness is because they're kids, and regardless of what your sexual preference is, as you're trying to figure that stuff out at that age, you're going to be awkward and a little bit weird about it. But now after Cody proposed this, now I'm really wondering. I feel conflicted now all of a sudden because I hadn't even like put that spin on it, and that, yeah, I don't know. So
maybe this
good call,
world
man.
is just so screwed up. I'm just there's no happy ending here. There's got to be something going on.
Yeah, cynical as all hell. Bring it.
No,
Always.
I'm with you, Chick, because when it happened, I'm like, shit, did I miss something? Because he's like, he just seems like deviant, all of us. Like there was just, I mean,
there was
he could
something
have been
sneaky about it.
Yeah,
It was like
yeah,
he got
it
caught
just
beating
felt
off or something.
wrong.
His mom came in and he's like, "What are you doing? Stop!"
Yeah,
like,
yeah. You're not jerking off, buddy. You're just playing some audio.
Exactly.
Relax.
I told you not to bother me when I'm cleaning my room.
Well, and by the way, just as a producer's note, how is she hearing it when he's got his headphones on
Good call.
through the door?
Good call.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe he's like every other kid, like my son, where his headphones are on, but he's got them on full blast, so you can still hear it. Like you're sitting there next to him, you're like, "What the fuck, dude?"
The only thing I could relate it to is when I Twitch stream and I forget to turn the TV volume down, so it's kind of doubling me. I was like, forgot to turn the volume on the speakers down, buddy.
There was a word she used with him too that I've never heard a parent ever use to their child, and I meant to remember it, and I forgot.
I'm proud of you.
No,
is that just me?
No, I've never heard that.
I thought her line where she was like, "It's not a request, it's an edict" or something like that.
That's it. That's
edict,
exactly it. I was like, edict?
Yeah.
Who the fuck says that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. God, sorry. I didn't know there were going to be ads that popped up.
Yeah, that's a shit on my head right there.
No, I'm just fucking with you.
That is the jump scare of the event, guys.
You jump scared me.
Brian got me way worse with his. It was like a train, and it was turned up like 95 decibels. So it was just like, what the fuck is going on?
Cody's just mad because he says edict all the time. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Most parents would say it's an order. Like, I don't know where edict came from.
Yeah, because I fucking said so. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh man, so we kind of touched on this story element a little bit. Now I'm curious because I think this is what Cecil was hinting at earlier with something that's starting to show on the doll a little bit. Is it with the effects work with his movement? Okay, yes, that bothered the fuck out of me in this episode, and it bothered me because I thought it was done really well in the first 2 episodes, where I was like, hey, I didn't think cult effects work was all that good. So I was actually expecting it to be a step down, and I thought the first 2 episodes was handled pretty well. So you have 2 scenes here. One where he's behind Lexi walking and his legs are just kind of doing this thing to where it just looked weird, like somebody was pushing him on a rolling stand, and it was very obvious. But the one that was even worse was when he was stabbing side guy. The knife was not even really making contact with his body. And the whole time I'm like, why would you shoot it from that angle and stay on it if you can't look like it's protruding? And even in the behind the scenes at the end of the episode, they show the knife like bends. And I'm like, but it wasn't even doing that. He was just sitting there like.
And then when it cut to downstairs and it showed him, all you saw was his arm. And here's the problem.
Cody,
him off. You can, pretty much. Cody, you can speak to this, right? And I told this to Fuego because we just recorded our non-spoiler thing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm like in an echo chamber now because you were just saying this, man.
Yeah, well, that's okay. They weren't listening to us when we did it. So it doesn't look like, it looks like something from Labyrinth or the Dark Crystal, where a puppet is on a human and his arm is just like doing this, and there's no way it's generating enough force to go into someone. when they shot the Chucky movies and he was about to stab someone, they cut to the angle of the arm and then, right, and it zips out of frame and then it's contact. You don't actually see this movement because it looks stupid when you have a doll trying to fucking jab someone in the side, and it looks ridiculous. You have to do the close-ups and sell the impact.
Well, yeah, or classic slasher, when you do a close-up, you start from inside and reverse it. You pull out and reverse the clip and play it.
Or focus on the
so you
victim's
get a
face
much harder.
as he's sitting there like getting hit every time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I thought it was so odd that, whatever, budgetary constraints, fair enough, but why stay on it? They shot it and they stayed on it like the whole time, and I'm like, move the fucking camera.
I was like, what? This angle, you can see the knife's not going in. What are we doing?
Yeah, and all the knife cuts like all over his body were already like drawn on with paint, and he was just hitting the same spot.
Exactly. It was just like, tickle, 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 tickle.
Yeah. It really
that was okay.
me.
Good. I'm glad that you picked up on that too, because that bothered the fuck out of me.
It bugged me a lot too. And it was because the first 2 episodes I thought they did a really good job at having both CG and puppeteer work and shooting it in a way to where they could hide some of their restrictions. And then this episode was just like, hey guys. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, now we're going to do this? Oh, no. Oh,
Next episode, you're just going to see the dudes in green screens moving in behind, like the green unitards moving the doll.
Yeah, I mean, even the shot in episode 2 that go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry. They did have a moment or two of that high angle little person. I noticed. So they're
show above the neck on that.
Yeah, they're pulling some tricks out. So I don't. It's really strange for them to cut. I don't know what their schedule is like, but it's kind of odd that.
Didn't he look awkward walking down the hall in that one scene holding the knife too? Wasn't that so awkward looking compared to every other time he's ever held a knife in existence? Yeah. Like it's at this weird angle, it's pointing the like completely wrong way is how he'd be holding. I just looked so ridiculous a couple times in this episode.
Yeah, it really stood out to me, and it's a shame because, like I said, I hope to God this is not like a sign of things to come, but this seems like almost like an isolated thing, like a completely different special effects crew worked on this episode, and maybe that's the case. But yeah, the first 2 episodes, it was such a non-issue for me that if it had always been that janky the whole time, I probably wouldn't have just noticed it as much. I would have came to peace with it. But the fact that just now in episode 3 was just like, holy crap, what the hell's going on? Yeah, that was something that stood out to me the whole episode, where I was like, oh my, that's not right. That's not right at all.
Stop.
Ringtone,
sorry, my phone. Sorry.
It's funny. The complaints that I had for episode 1, like it inverted for episode 3. I thought the cinematography was gorgeous. Like that fire scene was really, really nice looking. And
they said that they paid homage to the Changeling, I guess, which I've never seen, with that railing where they put the little flammable wax on it, and it just slowly went across while they followed it with the camera.
Yeah, George C. Scott.
I couldn't help but think of Inglourious Basterds when it climbed up the
curtains and
and then they showed Chucky's face being lit by the fire. It's like, all right, we're making moving pictures here. This is nice.
Yeah, and also the expressiveness on his face, and just the sheer joy and the mania of the moment and everything, and that's something else that I'll point out when he's having those little mind manipulation moments with Jake, the expressiveness, the facial movements, and everything. I thought those have all been very convincing and pretty top notch. Like animatronic movement is what I'm presuming it is, but yeah, it's when he's actually having to like move his entire body where there's been some issues. So
I'll ask you guys, since I'm the unofficial Chucky shit poster apparently as far as this channel's concerned. How are you guys with Jake's facial reactions?
I commented on that on ours.
You did.
I was like, dude, the more he tries to look at him trying to look angry is like the new Chucky doll trying to look angry in the remake.
Thank you.
He's like it's like kind of like he's constipated too.
Yeah.
Like, and he's got a really big mouth too, so it takes up like half his face when he's doing that. So like, I'm not coming down on the kid. I'm just saying,
no, it's just overacting or difficult acting or whatever.
A little too much. I've intentionally stayed away from even really commenting much on the acting quality. One, because they're obviously new
They're just
actors,
faces.
they're kids,
I'm not talking about his acting.
Yeah, for sure. But if I felt like if I started talking about that in episode 1, I'd have to bring it up every episode. They're doing okay. There's nobody on the kids cast that's really blowing me away so far. I mean, Lexi for sure is the one that seems to be the one just nailing the role that they give her.
She's the most comfortable in that skin.
Yeah, exactly. And it's cool because I guess her whole family is all in acting. Like her mom in the show is her actual mom, and
Oh wow.
Wow.
So there, I don't know what else she's been in, but there's a middle sister that acts somewhere, probably on the CW or something. But yeah, so we kind of started talking about the finale now with the Inferno, and this is the other spot that I had a very big logic issue with. I thought visually it was awesome seeing the room go ablaze and seeing Chucky doing the maniacal laugh and everything. I mean, that's a signature Chucky move to sit there and just relish in what he has done. And I liked the effects whenever he started to strangle her and she was going around and his little feet were kicking, because that was back to Child's Play 1.
Yep.
They're really good at doing these subtle little nods back to the previous movies. There's even a line in episode 2 where they're like, "Are we even equipped to handle a kid like this?" And it's like, "That's Child's Play 2." You know, I do that little Leo thing where so that's me every episode, every time they bring something up. So I liked all of that. The big issue that I had with this and why it left me cold as ice as far as this episode, it made no sense to me why we spent the whole episode. Our goal is to kill Lexi. That's the only reason we're here. Jake can't do it, so now we're on to Chucky. Chucky, the entire time he's in this house, is trying and failing at opportunities to kill her. And when he finally has her there, he's just going to stand and laugh. And I'm like, you still have the knife in your hand and you're standing there. And like we already said, it's, you know, all but confirmed that nothing happens off screen. She's fine. So I don't know if they're going to show a scene at the beginning of episode 4 that shows him go for her and she slips out of it somehow. But to me, I just thought it was a little stupid for him, as cool as the shot was, to be after her that hard the whole episode and then just stop and just laugh. And she's just going to live.
Yeah, that I was the way I said Fuego, I think will probably happen is they're going to use that fireball thing. One of those kids with the absolute best noise canceling headphones ever made are going to see the fire, and someone will rush up in time to, like, where Chucky will have to drop, or he won't have gotten to Lexi, even though he's 5 feet from her, by the time someone rushes up the stairs to make sure if no one's up there in the fire or whatever.
It just seems sloppy because now she knows you're coming, and now she knows you're real, and now it's not going to take shit for everybody to be against you. And it's just, to me, it seemed like a very silly move for how smart Chucky has been this whole series thus far.
Yeah, how important is not being seen to Chucky, because he's killed other people. So what's the value system on him getting caught? Like,
I think all that went out the window when we got multiple Chuckies, because if this one gets caught, who gives a shit? There's a bunch of other Chuckies out there still doing the thing.
He's all dispersed and whatnot. Yeah.
But as of the show's concerned, it's just this guy, you know, playing doll, so for a lack of a better term, with the little girl and Jake, and so like what's holding him back is, I guess, where I'm a little troubled.
I see a lot of people in the chat asking about the headphones thing. I've never been to one, obviously, but it's called like a silent disco or something like that. It is a real thing. It's where
Bluetooth headphones.
They're all listening to the same thing, but it's like an isolated thing where if you walk in and you don't have headphones, it's just like
because there's like
one bad noise ordinances around them. They started that.
People who live in condos do that.
And also kids who don't want their parents or the neighbors to know they're throwing a big ass party, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Exactly.
You kids don't know what it's like to have the cops show up to your house.
You got to have your heart race at least once.
We've all had that conversation. Like, all right, so if you get a second call, how long exactly does it take to get back here?
Oh God, I had the ghetto bird on top of my house at one particular point when I was 20, so that wasn't fun. But
that's a party for those that don't know.
Yeah,
we had a party where we hired a band. It wasn't my party. I couldn't have afforded it. But when I was like early 20s, we had a party in my neighborhood where we had a band. They were playing a bunch of cover songs, and about 7 songs into the set, they called the cops for a noise, and the cops came there, and we were like, So if you get a second call, how long does it take you to get? How much? We're good for 3 more songs. Like,
Get it on.
Close it and give us an encore.
No.
yeah. And then immediately after that, they played "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor," but they changed it. They were like, "Let the neighbors hit the floor."
Awesome.
Good form. Good form.
I'm sorry. I forgot my stupid brain. I wanted to bring up the chase that Jake had where he was chasing his cousin who has the exact same outfit as Lexi. And he didn't notice.
I made a joke to my wife, and I think it's going to be funny enough to where nobody would be offended by this. But whenever it showed up and he was wearing the same exact girl sweatshirt, I was like, "That's officially the gayest thing they've showed on the show."
Yeah,
it is very much like a Raggedy Ann and Andy. Yeah. Raggedy Ann and Andy, man.
She had like girl shorts over like running pants, and then so did he. So it was just like, I mean, I get your shortcut, but why?
Yeah, it didn't bug me, but it was certainly a convenient
it didn't
thing,
bug me. I was just like, come on,
the same color. Come on, like, you go to the store together or something. Yeah, and that's
I thought it would have been like less confusing if he had just borrowed her sweater.
Yes,
like
yes.
that. Like if he had gotten to her place and be like, "Here, thanks for letting me borrow this. It was a little cold today." I was like, "Okay, cool." Like that makes more sense than just twinsies.
Yeah, that's out of their joint Facebook account drawer.
Proper color almost and everything. Shit.
Yeah.
And the cousin and Lexi were one of the elements that definitely felt like filler for me this episode too, because they really didn't do anything new with them. Like it's clear she doesn't really give much of a shit about him, and he's trying but kind of knows that she doesn't. And they introduced Side Guy, who ends up getting wiped off the fucking face of the earth by the end of this, and it was just the same kind of thing that they did the first 2 episodes. So that was one of the elements too, where it made me feel like you said, Walking Deadish, where it's like we've been here, we've done this. Where are we going?
That was the show trying to teach everyone a lesson. Don't try and horn in on someone's girl; you'll get stabbed.
Exactly.
See, I just felt, guys, that it was like he's more so the one that they're trying to redeem, in comparison with her. The fact that he was the one who was that bothered to like urge her to apologize and everything. I feel like as far as the whole redemption train, he's definitely further along than she is, because he was a total little butthole to his cousin when he was first brought in. So
yeah,
he still is a tiny butthole.
He's a little butthole. He wasn't a big butthole. Not those big.
He's getting there.
Buttholes.
He's still a growing boy.
Yeah, he's tightening up. So
was it you, Cody, that says that there's something up with the ginger teacher with the glasses?
No,
she just looks way too much like Fiona Dora for my.
That's what I thought. Dude, I thought for a second it was her, and it was like, oh wait, no, that's not. But
she seems way too invested in that their situation there.
Well, hopefully that's just a way to say, like, hey guys, some teachers do care. So I don't know.
You think CP that she used to be like the bullied girl, and so she's just trying to get back at this one?
I don't remember who it was that brought it up, but somebody brought up that maybe it was in the chat. Somebody said that she could be a Chucky.
Oh wow!
I've read that too. A grown-up Glenda.
Theory.
How many years has it been since Seed, though? I mean,
many.
Good
that was
Lord.
2004.
This teacher is like 20 something.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they put her in another body.
And I guess the kid was what, 8 maybe? The little girl was, or was she like 6? I'm terrible at judging child age.
She's got that she's all that vibe too, where it's just like, take off the glasses, let your hair down. You're fucking, you're a 9. Let's go.
Yep. You were suddenly a swan. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Rachel Lee Cook, man? I mean, what the hell?
I don't know.
She played the mom.
I was going to say he's all. Yeah.
Oh, that's a thing. Shit. Didn't know.
That was a movie I asked for the screener for, didn't get, and I was like, okay, fine. And I just didn't watch it.
Oh, I am so sorry, Cody. Are you okay?
Yeah, I know. For what I heard, I didn't miss much.
Do you want a screener for 13 Fanboy?
I'll take one.
I mean, I already, because of Vince VOD'd it. I paid that, $5 or whatever the hell it was on Vudu. Haven't watched it yet, but.
Those who don't have nice things to say.
And the silence is real.
Jesus Christ.
That time it didn't get me, surprisingly.
That's for me. That's for me more than anybody else.
So one thing that I did like, to kind of wrap it back around to something that I did, because I feel like I'm shitting on the episode a little bit. I did like it overall. It just, to me, it was a nice size step down from episode 2. I like the fact that we had Jake in the cemetery and he's talking to his parents' headstones, and he's kind of getting his rage out a little bit, like almost like they didn't accept him. Mostly his dad probably didn't accept him for who he is, but then he's kind of almost confessing because he's under the impression that Chucky's stabbing Lexi right now for what he's done. And I thought it was cool that when you heard the sirens, which are obviously coming for the fire, he was like, "Oh no, what happened? Oh my God." And he started to have this guilt. They're doing a good job, in my opinion, of kind of balancing the kid to where they're pushing him just far enough, but he's still not completely over the edge yet. Like I said, if that guy wasn't wearing the, if it wasn't his cousin running in the woods, he might have just killed her right there. But we'll never know. And he was testing out a lot of weapons that were conveniently left out to test in that garage. But I thought it was a nice scene having him in the graveyard, and then especially kind of panning out and showing Charles Lee Ray's. And they had the dates that the original movie was released as well, which was cool for his death date. So that was one more thing that I enjoyed as well.
Can I offer something up to Hollywood, please? No, please, CP, allow me.
They're all listening.
There are a few tropes that just need to die at this point. And
I agree.
Tonight?
The "as you know" is one of the biggest things. That's terrible. But the fucking, I'm holding up a weapon and someone turns around and then like, "Oh, what were you? All right, I'm keeping an eye on you." I'm so fucking done with that, dude. I'm so done. You saw him with a fucking scythe in his hand, like a sickle, whatever the fuck you call it.
The Reaper weapon.
Yeah, and he's just, and not only that, but he tried to hide it. Like, if you're gonna get caught,
did that twice in this
"Excuse me,
episode.
I gotta put this back on the counter. You're right.
It'd be
behind.
nice
You're
if
right
he
in
sliced
front of,
himself in the back and was like,
yeah. Oh, God.
So then you guys just jogged my memory about something. Was it in poor form for her to be doing the little a cappella lullaby of "Don't Fear the Reaper" to friggin' her little sister, where she's like, "Sing me to sleep"?
Yeah,
I don't know. I was like, weird. Okay.
I thought they were setting up
I don't
a musical
believe it.
moment later, but
Yeah,
because I love that song.
I do too.
maybe that's all they could afford. Like, it was just so weird. Fucking.
It's
all
been
right.
licensed for so much shit at this point.
Yeah,
And
it's
I always think of
probably-
Stephen King's The Stand even more so than Cowbell. But
she was singing the OC version of the song.
Oh.
Someone
yeah.
covered it. Someone covered it on the OC, and that slower
I hate
love.
that.
Like they played it during a love scene in the OC.
Yeah,
So
open caption.
That's the version she was.
When people talk about a covered version of a cover and they're like, "Oh, I like this," and it's like, no. The Beatles wrote it. You don't know what you're talking about. Please stop talking.
Yeah, I don't believe for a second that she would know who the fuck Blue Oyster Cult is, but
Absolutely not.
I thought it was an interesting way to kind of put a little foreshadowing in there. Don't fear the Reaper and the motherfuckers in the next room.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind that too much. So where we'll go around because we're coming up on an hour. So where do you guys think we're going to be heading from here on out? Obviously, I've kind of enlightened you a little bit with the next time on Chucky, but as far as overall in the series, whether it be with the flashbacks or Jake or Lexi or Chucky himself, is there anything that this episode did that gave you like an aha moment about where they might be heading? CP, I'll start with you.
So the first episode, I was cautious. I felt like it was a bit much. The second one I thought was like perfect. Like it really upended everything I felt from one. And the third one is such a mix of everything, where I felt like they had some really good stuff, some really questionable stuff, and some stuff that I'm just willing to go on the ride for. So suddenly the podcast kid is somebody that I'm really, really intrigued at. Like my thing was, all right, you got to kill Lexi. Like that was the main thing for me. And or severing the relationship between Chucky and Jake. But right now I'm curious as to what the hell the deal with the podcast kid is.
Gotcha. Fuego.
Yeah, I was most intrigued by the possibility of the whole grooming maybe being Catherine. Lexi's
Yeah.
little sister when they were playing the video games in the second episode. I'm like, is he going to try to, groom her to be some nasty little bitch killer as well? But now, since the seed has been planted, I'm right there with you, CP. And after Cody made that suggestion, I'm the most curious about what's going to happen with that kid. I still, my gut is still kind of thinking that it's going to be him trying to cover the ass of his presumed love interest / friend in case some stuff does get blamed on him. Maybe he is still trying to be a protector, and since his mom doesn't trust Jake, he's doing it in a weird way where he just doesn't want her to know that he's trying to organize all this information. But I just want to know what's going to happen with the legacy characters, and when we finally get them. I think they have to at least do it by midpoint in the season, whether it's 4 or 5. So it's about all I got.
You know what I just thought of before I get to Cecil? Something that you said about the little sister. What would have been a really cool parallel, since they're really on the nose with the parallels, is if while he was stabbing Side Guy and then he picked up and went on to go find Lexi, he opened the door and the little sister was there stabbing the shit out of her, and she's like, "I helped."
Yeah, I would be into that. Most
that would have been pretty cool. Cecil, where do you think we're heading?
So I think this whole thing is ultimately, I think this Chucky doll is a bobbing lure. I think that Tiffany and Fiona Chucky set this doll out there because they know that Andy and maybe someone else are out there hunting Horcruxes, right? They're out there trying to track down all the Chucky dolls and eliminate him ultimately, finally. And so they probably did this, and they know that trouble's going to kick up. And when it does, that's when Andy and Kyle are going to come a running. And then that's when Tiffany and Fiona are going to reveal themselves, and there's going to be a big confrontation. I think this childhood or this school stuff with these kids, this is only first half of the season stuff.
Yeah.
Then we're going to get into something much different for 6 through 10 or 5 through 8, as it were.
Yeah. Because you only have essentially 4 characters. I mean, how much can you dick around?
And especially
with them?
if what Cody said based on the coming soon is if they're already gathering up to go against Chucky, then that part of the story's done, and it's time to move in to the cult follow-up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's where I think it's going to go. It's just I think the Chucky was dropped there as a lure for Andy and Kyle in order for the baddies to go against the goodies.
Yeah, I've had the impression ever since we only got a phone call with Alex Vincent in the first episode, and they weren't like loading the series, front loading it with all of the references and the winks and nods and the returning characters, that since critics only got 4 episodes, that's probably the point where they show up at the end, and then the second half is this totally different story where all the spoilerific stuff is going to be happening. So that kind of tipped me off to that when I heard that people are only getting half the season or a third of the season. We'll see. So, all right, guys, well, we'll wrap it up there. I do have the links to everybody's channel in the video description. You've got Willis Greedia down there for CP. You've got the horror show for both of these two knuckleheads right here. And I also put in Fuego-tainment as well if you want to see Fuego do his own thing once in a while. Does a lot of Stephen King stuff. So, Fuego, I'll go around the horn and start with you. Anything that we can look forward to coming out of Fuego-tainment?
Well, there's a presumed relaunch coming on November 1st with some new content as we get into the Oscar season and the award season and all that different stuff. So, yeah, I'm going to be probably looking at Eternals, possibly with Cecil, because I know that comes out next weekend. And
rotten.
And then also just lots of the art-centric stuff that I enjoy covering from time to time. There's been a bit of a sabbatical on the channel as there was a lot of spooky stuff to cover recently, but on the horror show I just got done talking about Chapelwaite, which is a very little watch show on Epix that I thought was badass. It's got Adrian Brody in the lead role. It's an adaptation of the Salem's Lot prequel, Jerusalem's Lot, but they run wild with it. And if you have any inclination to check it out, you can do a 7-day free trial on Epix and just binge the hell out of that stuff. So
cool. Cecil, what do we got coming down the pipe at the horror show?
The horror show today, we just put up our review of Army of Thieves, and I think we were kind of opposite on that one, Cody. You enjoyed it. I not so much. I felt it was pretty unnecessary, but that review went up. We've been doing reviews of the Chucky show. Our review of Last Night in Soho is recorded. That'll go up either tomorrow or Friday. And then on Halloween, we do plan to do a stream. I'm not sure if exactly what we're going to do on the stream, if it's going to be a massive review roundup, or if we're going to, more likely, we're probably going to listen to some Midnight Syndicate music and create some horror scenes based on what we're hearing and stuff. But yeah, outside of that, I'm hoping to slow down a little bit next month. So we're not going to have like 5-6 episodes a week, because I got away from doing 2 episodes a day a long time ago, damn it. And this month kind of forced me back into doing a lot of work like that again. So
yeah, I'm with you. I've had the problem this month to where something happens and I'm looking at my calendar. I'm like, is 3 in one day too much? It's not greed. It's just like, I don't want to do it, but I have to. And then a trailer drops and you're like, fuck. So CP, road to 31 on 31, I assume, or any surprises?
I'm balls and nipples deep in the edit. So yeah, that's all I'm working on. Patrons might get it a day early. I might do trivia night, whether or not it's on Twitch or the YouTube channel, on Halloween night. And then after that, it's back to work, because there's a camera in the building that works. So
Yeah.
And I saw you're doing a watch of Phantom of the Paradise.
yes, that's next weekend, the weekend of the 6th. Yeah.
I love that movie.
I've heard Dice just swears by it, and
it's not for everybody.
I was sent that years ago by a patron, but it was the same guy very, very early on when I first started Patreon. That's not forced, but requested with money that me and Durbin from Durbania watched 2 of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. And so when he sent me that, I was like, no, twice, shame on you, 3 times, shame on me. So I have not
take your money
yet.
back. We're all
that was a good choice.
It's fucking Brian De Palma, guys, and it's got some great tunes, but it's very 70s. Let's put it that way.
Well, I've got a double header. It's
so
that
ways.
and
Martin Scorsese's made bad movies too.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, De Palma's kind of hit and miss, and Rocky Horror Picture Show is the same night. So
they have a very similar vibe to them both, for sure. So
never seen that one either.
Sometime in November, I'll say, you might see Fuego and I in the same place.
We would love to.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, for those of you guys that are, what now?
No, I just stop me from talking, please.
Mumbling.
Thank you for having us on, though, Cody.
Hell yeah, man. No, it's been a pleasure and an honor, dude.
Here we go. Chucky wants to watch the news.
That was another good throwback.
That was funny.
That was another good throwback.
It was. They're very subtle. They're done in a way to where if you don't have the love and the knowledge of the franchise, it's not like they stand out as like, why the fuck would they say that? That's weird. They go right into what's going on with the show. So as far as this channel, if you guys are subscribers, you already saw, because I'm starting to post every Sunday, like a week breakdown of what's coming out. But if you haven't seen that, so this week, the final week before the last day of October. So I just dropped my Army of Thieves review yesterday. I was surprisingly pretty high on that movie. I was a little iffy on Army of the Dead, so I don't know how you guys were. Maybe that's
it was the complete opposite. We liked Army of the Dead, didn't like this one much.
Okay, so there you go. So it's going to be divisive regardless.
Were those digital or screen?
It's going to be Netflix on Friday, but So
yeah, we can now request Netflix screeners, but the problem is if you request it, you have to review it. So even if it sucks ass, you still got to throw a review up. So
really,
yep.
Well, I've broken that.
Someone's in your house or whatever the hell it is. Someone's inside your house or
there's someone inside your house was our first one, and I was like, do we have to do a review or can we add it to our roundup? They're like, no, you got to do it.
I wonder if that applies if they contact you for something, because they contacted me about, maybe it was Lock and Key season 1, and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll give it a shot, and then I never did. But
it might be different, or they might have tightened up in the last year and a half since that happened or whatever.
Yeah, we'll see.
Listen,
but
do you want the word of mouth or not? What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. Nonetheless, Army of Thieves review just went up yesterday. Obviously, we're talking Chucky today, and I dropped my Crow Salvation, which I was a little bit surprised on. That was halfway enjoyable movie today. And then tomorrow is Wicked Prayer, which it'll be a fun review. I'll just say that.
What is Wicked Prayer? Is that a Crow movie?
The Crow 4 with Edward Furlong as the Crow.
Oh, I was just going to ask you, which one's the Eddie Furlong
fucking movie has Edward Furlong, Dennis Hopper, the guy who plays Angel, one of the dudes from The Matrix,
David Boreanaz,
Chosen from Karate Kid, Tara Reid. The whole movie, I was just like, this is the weirdest fucking cast I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
Like,
it was all of the out of work '90s people who were just like, "Yeah, we'll do direct to video." Yeah.
So The Crow 4 tomorrow. Last Night in Soho will be dropping on Friday, and then Saturday, Devil's Night. We've got The Crow ranking, and I'm going to squeeze Dexter season 7 review out that morning as well. And then 31 on 31, you'll see us on the 31st. So I'm going to try to get all of my work done on that tomorrow.
Yeah, the new Dexter is dropping soon, right?
Man, Cody, audience for Cody here, you guys should be so happy that Cody is actually going to go the distance and review the Crow TV show too, right, Cody? That's going to be awesome.
I think there were 2 of them, right?
I don't know.
It was like, because I'm remembering the one where the girl had the short bleached blonde hair, right? Is that the one that I'm thinking of?
I have no idea.
No, okay, whatever.
I'm
the
type of
L
person that loves the original movie, and I never had the heart to ever experience the other ones because of everything that I've heard. And I figured, even though a couple of people commented trying to accuse me that I was trying to like profit off of this Alec Baldwin thing that happened, I literally planned.
Sit on a fucking
because obviously when you search Alec Baldwin in YouTube, it automatically sends you to my review. But anyway, I planned on doing The Crow because I've had a Patreon request, and I was trying to end it on Devil's Night because that's the night before Halloween. But nonetheless, if you don't believe me, fuck off. So yeah, we got a packed out week again, and then hopefully in November I can chill a little bit. But we have Hellraiser coming, so I can't relax too much.
Wait, the movie or the TV show?
No, all of my reviews.
Oh God!
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so
my own
I'm
pain.
So sorry. Are you okay? Are you doing? Yeah. That in and of itself.
This eye still twitches a little bit if I open it too much, but
I like the one with Henry Cavill. That one was all right.
You know what? Spoiler for everybody that hasn't seen any of my reviews, which is everybody but me, but I didn't mind that one.
Yeah, that one wasn't too bad. We've covered every bit of Hellraiser material there is out there on the channel at this point. We covered all the comics, all the books, and all the movies. And
Scarlet Gospels. Yeah, Scarlet Gospels would be a fucking awesome movie if they would ever make it. But
I just think Hellraiser is the best property to do an anthology story out of. Absolutely the best, hands down. I wish they would do an anthological Hellraiser story. Like, I wish the TV show was anthological, where someone gets the box, someone new gets the box every episode, or one of the lament configurations. It doesn't have to be the box.
I've been trying to get
kind
the
of what
box
the movies have been. It's just an anthology of this hard-boiled detective with a sad past gets the box.
And I love the one when Kirsty came back. I thought that was a really good one too.
Now, where they drive off into the water. Off the bridge
I liked how that one played out.
Where she shows up for 5 minutes, and then the whole movie, you're like, "Where's Christy?" And then you're like, "Oh, I see where this is going." And then
she was on.
Like, that's right.
She was on set for one day.
They play out the whole ending, and she's pivotal to the ending. And I thought it. I don't know. I dug it. I don't know. But a lot of them are really bad.
Don't get me wrong. Sure.
I might be sick next year, Cody.
What?
Usually when you do these big franchises, that means that they're part of 31 on 31. So I'm just telling you, I might be sick next year.
I teased Brian yesterday because he was talking about something, and I looked at all of the franchises that I've done this year, and I was like, I sent him to it because usually when I get an idea for 31, I just send the franchise and the number of films, and I put Hellraiser this number, Saw this number, Hostel this number, and then one other franchise, and I put 31 on 31. Epic Suffering or something like that. And Brian just sent me this. Oh man, if Brian ever wins the argument and gets us to do a Paul Thomas Anderson and Kubrick and all that other shit, I'm retaliating with Hellraiser. So just keep that in your back pocket.
Scoop views because fucking people love watching shit about Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, that's what all the kids are the rage about, right? Shit, they're like, I'm gonna watch Magnolia and see Tom Cruise screaming about, respect the cock or whatever.
Well, on that respect the cock note, guys, thank you for watching us. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on everybody's channel, and we will see you next week with a couple of new guests for episode 4. So see you later.